The City of Wyoming council meeting for July 20th, 2021. Let the record reflect we do have a quorum. Member Luger, Member Onstad, Member Yeager, Mayor Iverson are present. Absent is Member Schilling. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Mr. Linwood, is there anybody here for open forum?
Mayor Iverson, no one for open forum tonight.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to number 1 on our agenda is the US Highway 8 update. We have Joe Triplett, Engineer, Public Works Director for the county.
Good evening. Is this on? You guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you. I'll try and do this every so often, come and give you guys an update. We worked real well with Rob and Mark, but when we feel we've hit a sort of a milestone or something, or every couple months, I'll be back and be able to answer any questions. So at this point, we've actually turned in our staff-approved layout to MnDOT. And basically what that means is here's what we would like to see and like to move into final design with. Of course, it's MnDOT's highway, so they'll have plenty to say about that. To that end, do I see many things changing from what we worked out through our public engagement process with working with the cities? Yeah, I think there'll be some changes. There's no way in heck we could get everything to what MnDOT is looking for. I think most notably are the intersections. The arc cut intersections did not score real well with whether it was through the city staff review or even public engagement review, but MnDOT has been really pushing those. So I think we'll probably see some pushback on that. We do have the potential to slide an intersection to the east a little bit, the Hale intersection, the first one east of Greenway. And once you get into that curve, those houses are right there. So it is real tight. In order to get another intersection just past there, I think we'll be able to look at moving that a little more to the east. But otherwise, we'll see what MnDOT comes back with. In the meantime, however, I do have a meeting with Mark here tomorrow to discuss the local road system, most notably Wyoming system. We'll want to get kicked off, understand what maybe what standards you'd like to see, or you know, everything from road width to road designs, and start that process so that we, you know, even though we're waiting for MnDOT to turn around and give us their comments, and again, I think that'll be kind of a lengthy process, we can at least start in on the local system design. So again, we've got our kickoff meeting scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. And really, if Mark can update you on that progress, you will. Otherwise, like I said, I'll be back, and maybe I'll even have some nice pictures to share as well. I can tell you on the fundraising front, we've secured about $29 to $30 million for the project so far, with the project estimate in that $50 to $70 million range. So we still have some work to be done. Congressman Stauber has made this his #1 priority for his district, and does have the project in for $20 million in the Surface Transportation Act. So if and when that is passed, we'll more than likely find $20 million for our project in there. Senator Smith's office also has us in for $500,000 to put towards right-of-way acquisitions and such, and we're still waiting to hear from Senator Klobuchar. A couple Fridays ago, we did turn in our $25 million federal raised grant application, and we've gone off this a couple of times. Again, feel really good about it, and we'll see. We won't know. The federal raised grant won't be announced until November, and then really the Surface Transportation Act, we won't know that until September or October as well. So hopefully things will look a little different this fall as far as the funding goes. And of course, there'll be other state funds that we can go after. I'm meeting with MnDOT, I think next week, to look at like freight solicitation program, the TED program. There's a few other these state-funded programs that I think the project would compete well, and we'll just keep chipping away at that total project cost. So again, from a timeline, we'd still like to start construction in 2024, and where that puts us at, I know it's only 2021, but we'd like to be able to move into final design here in the coming months. We do have, we've got to finish up our environmental work as well, and hope for that to be completed by the end of the year, and then really be back in earnest on our final design and begin right-away acquisition process, again, hopefully by the end of the year. So,
Great.
I'd stand for any questions if you or Mark or Rob or anybody has any questions.
Well, I have just a really brief question. So Highway 8, where kind of by the lake, there was a bunch of reconstruction or adding of stuff on the road, widening it, maybe? I don't know, some safety measures.
Oh, yep.
So how does that fit into the new design in 2024? Do you have to redo all that?
No, so we have that folded into our project already.
Okay.
Now, we might mill and overlay that so that the final surface is all the same age, easier
Yeah.
from a maintenance standpoint, but no, the real only change there might be to add a little frontage road there and maybe prohibit lefts coming out onto there, and if you wanted to go east on Highway 8, you'd take the little frontage road up and get to Carmel, but
Sure.
actually, they've already done that work for the project.
Okay, great. I was just kind of thought
Yeah,
that'd
they
be
had that-
interesting if you had to redo it all.
We get a lot of questions about that. MnDOT had some safety money that they had acquired to do that project, and that had been programmed for a while, and death and taxes are the only thing that's guaranteed, so they just went ahead with the project. We're still very confident we're going to do this project, but again, if they finally secured funding to do that project, they went right along.
All right, great. Member Yeager?
Yeah, I had received an email from the people at Liberty Ponds this morning,
Mhm.
so I thought I'd just bring it to your attention. The email says that Liberty Ponds is highly concerned about the noise, access to the trail on the north side of Highway 8, as well as what access they will have on Highway 8 from Heath.
Yes. So a noise study will be a part of this project. And again, we're not increasing the traffic, maybe moving it 12 feet closer or so, but a noise study will be done with this, whether it's berms or walls or something, that will be conducted.
Okay.
As far as getting to the trails on the other side, we are including a number of, at these intersections that aren't signal controlled, whether they're tunnels or bridges, something to get people to the other side. Again, this is a safety project, so we're not looking for people to try and navigate 4 lanes of Highway 8 to get across to the regional trail. So we've included, I think, at least 3, maybe 4 tunnels to get people across.
Okay,
And as far as the access goes, they'll have Heath, except it won't be at that terrible skew. It'll be
Straightened
in
out.
line. Yes.
okay, thanks.
Yep, you bet.
All right, Member Onstead?
No questions.
Member Luker?
No questions.
All right, thanks for coming in.
You bet, and as always, you know how to get a hold of me. If
Yeah.
anything comes up or you get an email like that from a constituent, please forward it along and we'll do our best to answer it.
Great, thank
very much.
you.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Commissioner Motska, did you want to come up and address the council at all, or?
Just to find out if there's anything that, sure, let me have.
Okay,
Just to be available if you have suggestions on what the county needs to do to work with the city. There is the COVID money that county currently is looking at distributing, and there's going to be a meeting that we're going to be coming up where you can send a representative to. We are looking forward to that, to see if there can be some coordination. The county has about $11 million approximately, and that's going to, go to what is identified as things that are compliant with the federal requirements. So hopefully we can do some support of our public schools. In Chisago County, our public schools are funded per person compared to the state average about 30 to 40% less. And so they've suffered costs due to the pandemic, and we'll see if some of that can be available. There's other needs as well that we're going to be working with. And we want to know what your priorities would be as
Okay.
well, because I know that you have a pot of money as well, and there can maybe be some coordination as well. And then, let's see, Rob had alerted me to the need to have some county funding for the History Walk Park.
Yeah, the Veterans Memorial.
Yes, which is an excellent, and just a great amenity. It's already a great thing. I've already used the drinking fountain.
Yeah.
I'm back to riding my bike after my run-in with the ice on Dr. Brenda's lot.
Good.
Okay, or sidewalk, I
Yeah,
should say.
yeah.
So thank you for a great job, and the project, the road project that I know that the city has a lot of impact, and
Yeah.
it's really gonna step up that area of Viking Boulevard where there's some commercial things.
And you're currently working on budget right now, right, at the county?
We are, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a real challenge. We have a lot of things that have tails.
Mhm.
One of them is this idea that we've allowed all of our workers, or many of our workers, to be able to work from home. And of course, there's money to do that, but not the tails to keep doing it at the security that we have to do with government resources. So we're really looking at that. It would result in an increase, a significant increase, if we could continue to do that. You know, it's hard to get good employees for a county our size. We compete with larger counties, and we're really struggling with that. You know, you have a range from having everyone come back to allowing some, or all the way to letting everyone still have the option. Certainly, we need people to be back working because we need to make sure that customer service is there. Some workers get more done if they can work from home. That's literally what you can measure that. And I think we all know that many of us are working from home or were during the pandemic, and there's advantages and disadvantages. But that's a great challenge. So we're
Yeah.
looking at an increase. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but it could be, certainly be single digit, but it's going to be more than the increase in tax capacity through growth,
Okay.
it would appear.
We know that just coming off of elections and stuff, and we hear it all the time, how high the taxes are. And
Yeah,
most people
yeah.
equate that to the city, right? They don't understand where it all comes from. So I'm disappointed to hear there's going to be an increase. So it really directly affects all of the council members up here and staff, because they get they
Yeah.
field a lot of questions too, because people just don't understand
Yeah.
the breakdown. So
Yeah,
I'm
we're-
disappointed in that.
Yeah, and I certainly appreciate that, Madam Mayor, and I think it's the right thing to do as public elected officials to be able to justify $1. The problem that you have is that there are some things that are outside the control of the county commissioners, such as if we have an out-of-home placement. We have some kids that are served by care providers that are in another state on the other side of the country, and that's the closest you can get to somebody that can handle the needs that are presented in our county. You could have a CHIPS, a Child in Need of Protective Services case, that could result in hundreds of thousands of dollars, even close to $1 million of extra funding. And some of that is we're dealing with it. Other is just the cost of increase in our costs. So it's tough, and the county board is working hard to try to keep it within the increase in the tax capacity from growth.
Okay.
And I think that that's certainly where you should start from. I know that's what the city tries to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would just simply point out that you guys are booming here,
Yes.
okay?
We're
So-
helping out the county.
But you are. And
That
thank
we
you
are.
Thank you, and I don't mean to be negative at all
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Thank you for the growth that you've had here, because it does help lift the tax capacity in the entire county.
All right, thank you. Member Yeager, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Member Onstead?
No questions.
Nice
And-
to meet you, Mr. Johnson.
Nice to meet you too.
And Member Luger?
No questions.
Awesome. All right, thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, good to see you, Joe. All right, we will move on to our agenda, which is number 2, approval of minutes. Consider approving the minutes of the regular meeting of the Wyoming, Minnesota City Council for July 6, 2021. There are no questions or comments. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by Member Luger. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Member Onstead. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. We will go on to the consent agenda, number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Does anybody wish to pull an item from the consent agenda? If not, we need a motion to approve the consent agenda. I'll move to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Member Onstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. We'll move on to communications. Oh, sorry, acknowledgement of reports. Number 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Does anybody wish to pull an item from the reports? Nope, we'll move on from there. We'll move on to new business. Number 21, to consider a compensation study prepared by Baker Tilly to assist the City of Wyoming in achieving pay equity compliance. Mr. Linwood?
Council members, we're supposed to have Ann Atkinson join us from Baker Tilly.
Yes,
Is she present? Ms. Dumas?
yes, she is.
Okay, we'll bring her up here. We're gonna do this virtually. Ms. Hankinson's gonna be there, and we can you can see her, and then along with we can probably get the full screen up maybe on if she wants to share anything. Okay. Ann, can you see everyone okay?
Oh, she's muted.
Okay. Ann, can you hear us now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, can everyone hear okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, great. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Thank you for inviting me to attend this meeting this evening. You have a few items that Rob has included in the agenda that we'll be discussing tonight. There's a study summary, and then there's components of a proposed pay plan, and position assignment and some implementation options, and then a copy of the draft of the proposed pay equity report that would be submitted. So if the City Council recalls, the City of Wyoming, along with a number of other cities in the state of Minnesota, was required to submit a pay equity report effective on January 31st of 2021 with pay data that was effective on December 31st, 2020. When we went through and analyzed that information and prepared a draft report for the city on pay equity, it was apparent that the city was not going to pass the state of Minnesota Local Government Pay Equity Act. The city was going to be out of compliance with one of the 4 tests of the pay equity report, and that's the statistical analysis test. And what that test measures is where female-dominated positions versus male-dominated positions are situated versus the predicted pay that is established by the state's statistical analysis testing. So they have a software program that they use to analyze public sector's pay equity, their wage ranges, the wage that's available to employees, how quickly they get there, and determine whether female classes are at a disadvantage as compared to comparable male classes. So we found that the city would be out of compliance. And at that time, the city did approve Baker Tilly at doing adjustments to the compensation plan, not only to assist the city in achieving compliance in 2021, but also to put the pay scale back in order, because with any compensation plan over the years, adjustments are made that reduce the integrity of a compensation plan. And it happens in just about every organization, public and private, over time. And so what we wanted to do was make sure that positions were then going to be aligned appropriately and update that pay plan to update the structure, making sure that positions were signed appropriately within the compensation plan, and then making sure that those adjustments would then achieve compliance with state of Minnesota pay equity. So the city did receive the first notice of noncompliance back on May 7th of this year. And when an organization is found out of compliance, you do get one opportunity to make adjustments to your pay plan, make sure it's in compliance, file an updated report, you get that notice of compliance, and everybody moves forward. So the changes are to be effective July 7th of 2021. So we're going to be looking at making kind of a retroactive adjustment because we couldn't get this on the agenda in time to make those adjustments for July 7th, and then we need to file the new report by August 7th of 2021. So we have updated the compensation plan, and it's going to look very similar to the current plan, but the wages within that plan and where positions fall are adjusted somewhat within there. So the overall pay plan, remains at 25 pay grades. There's still a 7% separation between those pay grades, and there's still 5 steps per grade with a 5% between steps. So we're not changing the overall structure. But we updated that. We then reviewed where positions were placed within the pay plan. So there were some positions that their job evaluation points, so the internal equity of positions, so where positions are assigned based on the job value, based on their job requirements and job responsibilities. So there were some positions that were not placed in the pay plan based on where their true job value was. So we made sure that those positions were all aligned within the pay plan based on what that job value was. And then we did have some positions where we reviewed those positions and their responsibilities had changed over time. So we made some adjustments in their job value, and that's reflected in their pay grade assignment as well. So then we looked at where positions fit with the updated pay plan, whether that would have any impact on any employees. So where did employees fall within that pay plan? Did anybody fall outside of the pay plan? So what types of adjustments at a minimum did we need to make? And so all of that information is available for you to review in your packet as well. And so once we made those adjustments, then we did a test using the pay equity software program from the state to see if those adjustments would be in compliance with the mandates of the state. And when we ran those numbers, we had to run it with the non-union employees at the proposed rates and the union positions at their current rates that are established by union contract, because we cannot make adjustments to those wage ranges while there's a contract in effect in the city. So the pay equity report reflects proposed wages for non-union and current wage ranges for the union positions. So a copy of that is included as well. So at that, I'm going to pause for a moment and see if there are any questions.
All right. Member Luger, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Member Onstad?
No questions.
Member Yeager?
Okay, I have a couple of questions. When you said you changed, I noticed in the compliance report, some of them, under the statistical analysis test, the male and female classes, those numbers had changed since the last report I had in January. Is that what you were talking about, shifting positions, or?
That's not necessarily shifting positions, but throughout a work year, the number of employees can change and adjust within a classification. So it reflects the report that was submitted in January reflected employee counts based on December 31st, and this reflects employee counts currently.
Okay, because I noticed like in the female classes, there was an increase in 3 at above and predicted pay, an increase in the male class. I just didn't know if it was the shift that you were or the adjustments you were talking about in?
No, it's just based on current employee counts.
Okay. And then on the 3-option page, am I
Yes.
reading it correctly in that there is only one employee below the minimum? Everybody's within range?
That is correct. And the one employee that is below minimum is actually an employee who had a job change. So it was an employee in a position that was a part-time position, and now the position has changed, and effective July 1st, the employee was moved into a full-time position, and that position had increased responsibilities and requirements, so the job value was adjusted, so it actually had a grade increase. So that employee probably would have had an adjustment even if we didn't update the pay plan.
Okay, I see here, then that employee would be like now, went up to like a grade 7 on the other chart, right?
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
I was previously in a grade 5, I believe,
Okay,
at its previous position as a part-time position, and is now moved to a grade 7.
okay, so, and also, I see 3 options. Are we being asked to vote on an option tonight?
I don't, just if we could stop there a second, I don't think we've talked about that yet, correct, Ann?
Yes, we have not gotten to
Yeah.
that point yet.
So we need to wait, we're jumping the gun.
Okay, that's fine. That's it?
So, in the documents that you have, we do have the proposed pay scale. And as I said, the structure will look the same, but the ranges have been updated so that there's consistency between the ranges. The existing pay plan, as I said, over time, this happens with a lot of pay plans. The percentages between grades had not stayed consistent. And so there were some grades that were very close together and some that were further apart, which caused some of the issues with the compliance. So this has moved it back. So there's the 7% separation between each grade and then the consistent steps. So one of the decisions we'll be asking you to do tonight is to adopt the updated pay scale, because this is the pay scale that we'll use to report for the pay equity report that needs to be submitted by the 7th of August. So that is the pay scale. The next piece that you have is the title and grade sheet. And so what this has, so it's the title and grade. So we looked at the pay scale. We looked at the title and grade. So the title and grade, this is now where positions will be assigned. And we had a couple of positions that have changed. And so one of those was the police property / technology crime analyst. And that's the position that went from part-time to full-time and had a change in responsibilities. We've also adjusted the public works superintendent and police sergeant up a grade, even though the police sergeant is a union position. But this is just showing where it really fit within the pay plan. It was actually assigned to a grade 13, but the wage scale that was being used for those positions was not falling in a grade 13. So we've made some adjustments to job values and then grade assignments for positions. Most of the rest of the positions all are still falling within the grade that they were originally assigned. And so the second piece that we'll be asking you to adopt this evening is adoption of the position placement. And what's really of concern tonight is really the non-union positions, because we can't make any adjustments to those union positions, which are the maintenance worker, the police officer, and the police sergeant, because they currently have contracts that are still in effect. So then the third component that we're looking at is the impact. And so this is standard whenever we update a pay plan, is to look at where individual employees fall within that pay plan. And as was already noted, we have of the 11 non-union staff that are going to be impacted by this, we have one employee that falls below the minimum of the range. And that's a position and an employee that was going to receive an adjustment anyways because the grade changed for that position. But that position will need to be moved on to the pay plan. So that's, a position that will need to be adjusted. So we'll be asking the council to make a decision on that this evening as well. And the cost of moving that employee to the minimum, and this is wage only, and this is annual. So we're not looking, we're looking at a half a year for this implementation. So a full year is just under 4,800. So you're looking at about 2,400 for implementation for the remainder of 2021. And then the other two options, option 2 is actually moving the remaining 10 employees onto a specific step in the updated plan. Because they have a wage that falls within the range, the city does not necessarily need to make any further adjustments to employees unless they're due for a step adjustment sometime between now and the end of the year. Then the city might want to move those employees onto the new step at that time. And then option 3, this is just if you were looking at years of service, it would be moving employees onto the same step that they were on in the previous pay plan. Option 2 is moving to closest step. So the step closest to their current wage without any employee seeing a deduction in pay. And so with that, I'm going to pause again and see if there's additional questions.
All right. Member Yeager?
Okay, I'm looking at the 3 options. Option 1 involves no increase in budget or expenditures, because I see it's 854,900 to 854,900. And by looking at it that way, does option 2 and option 3 both include an increase in expenditures? Because I see 854,900 going to 873, and then in option 3 going to 880.
Correct. So the one increase in expenditures is for that one employee that's below minimum. And so that would be for 6 months, that would be 2,400. And the other options in option 2, again, that's for a full year. So rather than a $19,000 increase or a $23,000 increase, it would be 12.
Okay, I don't know if we're looking at the same page.
I think she's referencing the difference
Like
that,
you're looking at what is just for the employees within range rather than the full cost.
Okay, okay, fine. Then I'm totally confused here. Because I'm trying to find the option that's more cost effective for the
the
city.
totals would be the top line, council member. That would be the total increases, and then essentially those would all be, as Ms. Antonsen said, all in half, because we're essentially through half of the year. So,
Okay.
for example, that top line, the 4,800 would be half, 24. The 23,000 would be half, 12, and then the 32, 16,500 on the.
So basically, each option includes a budgetary increase that's not budgeted for at the moment, right?
Correct, it would be, but there are some situations where we've had some departments that have been understaffed this year, and overall budget, we would just need to take that into consideration on our operating budget. So example, the police department has had missing employees this year, so their total wage budget won't be, hasn't been as full as it normally would be. So
Do
if
we
that-
have numbers that reflect that? Because if we look at that top line, I'm seeing a 4,700 opposed to 23,000 opposed to almost 33,000.
Right, and I think it'd be half of those numbers though too.
Yeah,
because
but
we're already
even
through.
at half of the numbers.
But I think that's
you're
I think that's important though, to identify that it's closer to 12 and closer to 16 than the actual 23 or 32. It's,
Or rather than having 27,
right. The updates we would need to, if necessary, make, which I don't think we'd have to make any kind of budget amendment at this point in time, based on the point in the year we are, and right now evaluating some of the increases within the departments. I think it's something that we can, we'll be able to fit into our 2020 budget as it sits, in regards to what selection the council took on this.
All three options would fit into the budget?
We should be able to do that, yes.
Okay.
All right, Member Onstead?
I have no questions.
Member Luger?
No questions.
And I have just a quick question, and maybe you addressed this earlier when we were going through this. If a city is not in compliant, what happens?
If the city does not achieve compliance, the city faces penalties. And the penalties are either a 5% loss in local government aid or $100 per day dating back to January 1st. And that would keep compounding until the city achieved compliance. And it's whichever is the greater fee
Okay, thank you.
is what the city would be.
And Mr. Linwood, has the city not been compliant before?
This is the first time that I'm aware of, since my time with the city, that we've been in non-compliance. I think, as Ms. Antonsen said, I think it was time that we probably looked at this anyways. The last time it was updated was 2006. So it was time to go through the pay plan, as she alluded to, and to really make sure that we're on point with those grades and make sure that pay and compensation plan is accurate. So probably something that was overdue and a good exercise to make sure that we are compliant.
And I'm not quite sure how to phrase this. So we hire new employees, we have the STEP program, we offer money, we try to be very conscious of our decision on payroll, right? So really what this kind of does is the state, not blaming the state, but the state steps in to make sure that we're paying everybody equitably. And we have say in it, but yet we don't. Am I kind of answering that question so the general public understands that as a council, we can take care of this and going forward, we have that plan and knowing what it is, but it's not necessarily what do I want to say? It's not something that we purposely did, but it's just the state has their way of figuring out dollars, correct?
Yes, the state has designed their own software program with their own analytical system for measuring pay equity in the state of Minnesota.
Okay, and
And it is their unique system.
so going forward, we should make sure that as there's increases, as we're looking at labor costs and stuff, to always make sure we're taking a look at this, that everything fits in, correct?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
you want to just make sure that you're maintaining the integrity of your pay plan.
Okay. And seeing
Which
that,
is maintaining the grade separation, making sure that when a new position is evaluated and they get their new job points, as you can see in the pay scale, each range has a range of points that are assigned to that. So if you have a new position and their job value is 298, you want to make sure that, okay, that fits in grade 11, so we're going to put the position in grade 11.
okay, thank you. And how often should this be redone, to be looked at again?
Well, industry standards recommend that a total review be done every 5 to 7 years. Less often if we're in a recession or an economic downturn, more often if we have a strong economy or you're having difficulty recruiting or retaining employees.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I have one more question. Will all three options bring us into compliance?
Yes, because what it measures is, it measures the wage ranges. So what's the starting, what's the top pay that is provided to individuals? And so the only true requirement for implementation would be to do that option one, because we do have one employee that is not falling within the range. It just means that for the remainder of this year, you will have the remaining 10 employees who will not be on a specific step, but they do fall within the range.
Any problem?
The
with
state
it?
doesn't measure where an employee falls within the range as long as they fall within that range.
Yeah, so there's no problem if the employee's not on a specific step.
Correct.
All right. So what we're looking at is to decide tonight which option. So, and then from there, just to accept the report as written when it comes to the, is it the pay scale or the title and grade? Title and grade, correct?
You'll want to adopt the pay scale, the title and grade, and your implementation option. And then go ahead and adopt, once you do that, go ahead and, accept the pay equity report. And that's the other piece that was in your packet, was that, was the compliance report, which indicated that the city would be in compliance. And in this, the statistical analysis test, your underpayment ratio is 187.5. That needs to be above 80. So we've shown a great improvement in that, which is nice. Your salary range test needs to be above 80. It's at 100. And then your exceptional service pay test, that measures whether male positions are receiving longevity or performance pay, more of them than female dominated employees and positions, but nobody receives longevity. So you're good to go with that test. So it shows that if we, based on this information, if we file this report by August 7th and you make these changes retroactive to July 7th, that the city would be found in compliance.
All right. Do we need to do each one separately then?
Please.
Okay. All right. Well, this will be fun. Mr. Lunan, are you ready for questions? All right, sounds good. Okay, so we need to start with a decision, council decision on the options 1, 2, or 3. I'm going to ask each council members their thought on that, and then we'll decide from there a vote on which option we're going to take. Member Lugar.
I think just in looking at these and knowing that that we'll be reviewing this, that there won't be nearly the gap between 2006 and now. I guess what I'm most comfortable with is option 1.
Okay. All right, Member Onstad.
I just come from a system of steps in my service as a public employee, and I view step increases very important.
Okay, so which one of the options are you?
So I would go option 2.
You go option 2, okay. Member Yeager.
Option 1.
Okay. I, as well, am looking more at option 1. So we will need to take a vote on this? Do we need a motion and a vote, or just a majority?
We would need a motion for a step and then to take an actual vote on it, please.
Okay. Anybody want to take that on? No? Besides me?
Move to select option 1.
Does that work?
Yep, for the pay, yep.
That works?
Yep.
Okay. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So option 1 is the choice. Moving on to the pay scale, and that's just a matter of yes or no on this?
It'd be another vote
Another vote.
to approve the pay scale.
Okay. So I'm going to open it up for discussions first. Member Lugar?
No questions.
Member Onstad?
No questions.
Member Yeager?
No questions.
And I have none as well, so we need a motion to approve the City of Wyoming pay scale that is presented. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Member Onstead. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Luger. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So passed. And the next one is the title and grades?
Correct.
Okay, open up for questions first for discussion. Member Luger?
No questions.
Member Onstead?
No questions.
Member Yeager?
Except for the two cited changes, everything else is the same as it was. The
Is
two
that-
cited changes are Public Works Superintendent, Police Sergeant going to a 14, and the Police Property Technology Tech Crime Analyst going from a 5 to a 7.
That is my understanding. I'll let Ms. Antonsen answer that, but I believe you are correct. That's based on the
Yes,
report.
I believe that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. So we need a motion to approve the City of Wyoming, Minnesota title and grade as presented. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by Member Luger. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Member Onstead. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So approved. And then the last one is,
To accept the pay equity report.
okay. So we need a motion to approve the pay equity report as prepared by Baker Tilly to assist in the City of Wyoming in achieving pay equity compliance. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
First by Member Luger. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Onstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
All right, we're gonna
My
move
pleasure.
on. We'll
Thank you.
move on to number 22. And for those in our office, watching here, are you guys doing okay? Need a water break or anything? All right, sounds good. All right, to consider accepting a long-term plan for the city of Wyoming as prepared by AEM Financial Solutions LLC. Mr. Linwood?
Mayor Iverson, members of council, we'll have Jean McCann from AEM joining us. She's not here yet. She actually was double booked tonight for meetings, so since she is not with us yet, I would ask the council come back to this item on the agenda, and we'll move forward since we do have some developers here in the meeting, so we can keep things moving.
All right, do we need to make a formal motion that we're doing that?
No, we can just revisit it,
Revi-
as long as
okay.
we're not tabling it at this.
Okay, sounds good. We'll move on to number 23 on the agenda to consider Resolution 210770, approving the site plan review of a parking lot expansion at 5376 260th Street. Mr. Weck?
Madam Mayor and council members, Professional Exteriors, they're on 260th Street. They recently moved into the building, need more parking space. To do that, they're going to trade some land with the adjoining property to the west. That doesn't require city council approval. That can be done by me administratively. They do need site plan approval for the parking lot expansion. Planning Commission held a public meeting. They're recommending approval of the site plan review with two conditions. The outlet for the filtration basin is within the wetland and will require WCA approval, so that that approval of the site plan is contingent on approval of the wetland delineation. That being the only condition. Again, the Planning Commission is recommending approval.
Thank you. Member Yeager, any questions?
No questions.
Member Onstad?
No questions.
Member Luker?
No questions.
All right, so we need a motion to approve Resolution 210770, approving the site plan review of a parking lot expansion at 5376 260th Street. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion to approve by Member Onstead. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Member Luker. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Number 24 on our agenda, to consider Resolution 210771, approving final plat D-21-008, Himes Lake Villa North at PID 21.11122.00 and 21.11123.00. Mr. Weck?
Madam Mayor and council members, Himes Lake Villas North is a 33-lot subdivision, primarily 55 plus and older, similar to the Himes Lake Villas just to the south of it. Planning Commission held a public hearing, is recommending approval. of the final plat. Number of conditions that are in there. A lot of them were from the original preliminary plat, which is condition number 7. The applicant will address all outstanding comments from review of the preliminary plat and revise the preliminary plat accordingly. That kind of covers the first 6 items. The last one, 9, or actually 8 on your on the resolution. Sorry, the park dedication fee needs to be paid also. Again, the Planning Commission is recommending approval of the final plat.
Okay. Member Yeager, questions?
No questions.
Member Onstead?
No questions.
Member Luker?
No questions.
I have no questions either. So to approve Resolution 210771, approving final plat D 21-008, Heim Lakes Villa North with conditions stated in the Planning Commission. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve from Member Luker. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Onstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So approved. Number 25, to consider Resolution 21-07-72, approving final plat D. 21-009, Summerfield Second Edition, PID 21.10582.61. Mr. Weck?
Madam Mayor and council members, this is a 15-lot residential subdivision. It's the second phase of the Summerfield plat. This is on the east side of Kettle River Boulevard, the first part being on the west side of Kettle River Boulevard. This will be the detached townhome section area. Planning Commission held a public hearing. Again, they're recommending approval of the final plat with the conditions listed on the resolution. We did receive plans today? I got too many plans going through my head. Summerfield's is today, yes. So we did receive new plans for the, hopefully will address all these are being reviewed now by the city engineer.
They haven't been met.
Oh, we're good to go?
Just started reviewing that today.
Okay. So that should take care of most of the conditions. Number 13 is the same as the Himes Lake Villas, that the park dedication fee also be paid. And then the last one, part of that, city attorney shall state fee simple title to the plat of properties and the names of the subdividers. We did receive an updated title commitment. I don't know if that's been fully reviewed yet, but we're also on track with that one.
All right.
So again, we're recommending approval.
All right, thank you. Member Yeager, any questions?
I have a couple questions. In your report, you say Outlot A is the street, and it's a private roadway?
Yes.
So will the city be responsible for its maintenance, or will it become?
That would be the homeowners association will be responsible for the maintenance of it.
So the city would not fill potholes there, would not snowplow?
No.
Okay, what makes this different than the other streets or the other developments?
I'm not sure how to answer that. To be honest with you, we did not catch that it was done as an outlot and as a private road at the preliminary plat. Looking at the review afterwards, the area that they have set aside for the right of way and what would fit in there for easements to expand it to the minimum size for a public road, it wouldn't fit. They would lose lots. So staff looked at those options and decided to recommend, again, the final plat with those outlots as private streets.
Okay, and then we have assurances that when the residents move in there, there will be snow plowing, there will be pothole repairs done through an HOA. And we'll have that in writing. Okay. The other question I had, are all the lots single-family homes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Member Onstad?
The properties that are between, that are just east of Kettle, is it planned to have that, the road exit onto Kettle or onto the village road?
There'll be one exiting road on the Kettle River, so.
But the houses themselves,
The houses themselves will not.
that would be the backs of the lot?
Correct. Yeah, no single family lots will exit onto Kettle River.
Townhomes?
Yeah, villas, town villas,
I think that's all the questions I have at this time.
Thank you. Member Luker?
My questions have been answered.
All right, thank you. So we do need a motion to approve Resolution 210771, approving the final plat D 21009 Summerfield Second Edition with the conditions that were stated by Planning Commission. We need a motion to approve.
So moved.
First motion by Member Luger. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Member Yeager. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
So approved. Number 26, to consider Resolution 210773 to purchase a 2021 306. Do we
Sorry,
have-
Mayor Iverson, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I believe Ms. McCann now is available with us, so if we could
Okay.
reconvene to that item.
Okay, so we're gonna wait on number 26 and move on back to 22.
Yes, please.
Hi, Jean.
Good evening. Thank you so much for being patient and waiting for me to get here. We are going to be reviewing the overall long-term plan this evening. And Rob, do you want me to share my screen, or
I think that'd be best.
how would
if-
you like to do that?
Yes, please, if
Okay.
you would, Jean.
It indicates the host is disabled, participant screen sharing.
I think you can try now. I think Ms. Dumas just enabled it.
Okay. All right, can you, everyone see my screen here?
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. All right, so we have talked about the overall long-term plan a few different times. And so tonight, I just wanted to share with you what we are considering to be the final long-term plan, provided that the City Council would care to accept this particular one. There have been some modifications made to this version, and I wanted to go over a couple of the key highlights. So first off, the general fund tax levy is really set at about 3.5% annually. The issuance of bonds for street replacement is projected in 2025. The issuance of bonds is projected for facilities in 23 and 25, and for street replacement in 25 as well. So therefore, to repay the bonds, the first tax levy increase is projected in 2024. What will help with all of this is that 2009 bond will be fully repaid in 25, and 2015 bond will be fully repaid in 26. So as we move through the overall summary, I do want to draw your attention to the projection for property taxes, and what the overall percentage increases are looking like within this plan. So if you take a look at this particular page, you'll see that we have all of the different projections indicated here. And if you look at the very bottom line, in looking at the general fund for the general fund percentage change, you'll see that we do have that overall 3.5% that is projected throughout the life of the plan. And when we look at the overall cash balances, I'd have a trend line indicated on the further right-hand side. And as you look at the trend line, everything appears to be adequate for the reserves that are needed. If you look through all of your general operating budget, the cash balance remains level throughout the term of the long-term plan. The special revenue funds, they also, pretty much remain level. We did not spend a significant amount of time on any of the special revenue funds. However, the debt funds, a deep analysis was done of that to ensure that all debt is accounted for and there's funding sources in which to pay for that. With your capital project funds, now one of the primary changes from this version of the long-term plan is we made modifications based on the CIP that the council was presented a few weeks back. And so we wanted to ensure the long-term plan is reflective of those balances. As you can see with all of the capital project funds, we do have each one of the capital project funds has a positive cash balance, as well as each one of the enterprise funds. Now, I am going to go back just a bit though, because I think it's important to discuss the property taxes that are being levied and, you know, what the exact projections are for these. You know, I know that you have been talking a bit about your street replacement fund, and in 2022, the projection for that levy for street replacement is at $300,000. Now you'll note that in 2023, that's being increased to $500,000, and then in 24 through 26, it's up to $600,000. Now, you know, I recognize that there's a lot of work to be done on the various streets, and so I think it's important that, you know, we consider that. The other component to take into consideration is there's been a conversation in regard to, do we do franchise fees or do we not do franchise fees? All of that information is incorporated to this plan just as it was in the previous versions that we had provided. I know that there could be, you know, potentially be some questions from the council, and I'm happy to dive into deeper detail on any of the individualized funds, or simply just address questions that any of you may have.
All right, we'll just take a second and, Member Luker, do you have any questions?
Not at this time.
Member Onstad?
No questions.
Member Yeager?
Yeah, I do have a couple of questions. If you go to page 24, in the schedule of capital outlay, I see that the parks are all scheduled for $25,000 a year. And I was just curious about where that money is coming from, whether it's embedded in the public works budget, or it's a separate levy item, or from their own established.
Okay, I apologize. I couldn't quite hear all of that.
Oh, sorry.
However, anything that is indicated in the capital equipment fund, that funding source is coming from the fund itself.
Okay. So it's not a separate levy, and it's not out of this. All right.
It's not included in operations. It's included within the capital fund.
Okay. And the other question is on page 26. In intergovernmental revenue, is that the LGA?
Yes, I believe that is.
Okay, and I see that the LGA is projected to increase 2% a year.
Correct.
Is that prudent, given that it's dependent on a bunch of state legislators?
Right, there has been some additional legislation or information that has come out in regard to LGA. And as you know, this plan is of course reviewed on an annual or every other year basis. And so it is something that we will have to consider as legislation is enacted.
So basically, it will be recalculated as legislation is enacted.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Is that all your questions?
Yeah, actually.
All right, perfect. All right, we have our questions answered, Jean. Can you hear me, Jean?
No, I could not hear that.
Sorry. Yep, all our questions are answered on council.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
All right. So,
So may I ask a question? Rob, did you want the council to determine if they'd like to accept this plan?
That would be the next step. I think this is a, you know, this is a, as Ms. McCann has talked about, this is an outline and a map as we move forward with some of these. Obviously, it will be reviewed annually, and it's a living, working document, but I think it gives, with the different goals and financial considerations the council has for now and the future, I think it's a pertinent document just to accept and to understand, though, that, like I said, we will be reviewing this up, and if legislation were to change or other items were to change, so it's a living document, but I think that would be pertinent to accept it tonight, if the council would be willing to do so.
Mr. Linwood, just a couple questions. You have been with the city 5 years?
In this position?
Yep, in that position, correct.
Correct.
So, is this, given your tenure here in the city, is this the first time this council, we have seen this before, we've worked on this before. Have previous councils had this type of document to guide them through what our city needs?
I don't think in this depth. I know there's been some, I think put together years ago, but I don't think ever that were completely followed through on. And I think we've had a capital improvement budget that we've utilized, but nothing to this depth and extent to really try to maximize those funds and to really do the analysis as Ms. McCann went through those funds to really look at the projects and upcoming things we have to make sure that those funds are being able to we're able to maintain those reserves and really to make sure that we're still functioning and financially stable as a city.
Okay, and again, reiterate the fact that this is not something that is set in stone. It's just something that we look at as we go through budgeting and as we go through our road projects and as we go through whatever project is out there. This is what we're using as a guide, and it's not set in stone, but it's our guide to a healthy city.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'll ask one more time for questions before we move on to make a motion. Member Luker, any questions?
No questions.
Member Onstad?
No questions.
Member Yeager?
All my questions have been answered.
Okay, so we need a motion to accept the long-term plan for the city of Wyoming as prepared by AEM Financial Solutions LLC. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Member Onstad. Do we have a second by Member Luker?
We do.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. All right. Thank you very much. I know you've had a busy day or a busy evening, so appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. We are going to move back to number 26. A resolution to consider resolution 210773 to purchase a 2021 306 mini hydraulic excavator from Ziegler Cat for $76,216 on the state bid contract. Mr. Almgeld, I bet you that's you.
Yes, Mayor.
All right.
Thank you very much, Mayor and City Council members. Public Works has a John Deere 401D backhoe, and we want to replace it with a mini hydraulic excavator. The 1983 John Deere was acquired from the township merger and needs some repairs for safety. It has some holes drilled in it that were modifications and for mounting accessories and stuff. And so now, like, Ziegler Cat will not take that in on trade because of the modifications, and it's not viable to fix the unit. But RDO Equipment will take the unit for trade-in on a new trailer to haul this mini excavator on. So a mini excavator cannot be driven to and from a site like a backhoe can with tires. A backhoe is about $140,000, while a mini excavator is around half of that price. So we looked at this mini excavator, the pros and cons, and decided on the mini excavator as the best choice, as it is more versatile for our needs and fits in our current budget. Ziegler Cat out of Columbus has quoted the 2021 306 mini excavator at a state bid price of $76,216.10 with a purchase price, and the Public Works CIP has $85,000 budgeted for this purchase in 2021.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask a bizarre question. What is the ROI on this? How long does it last for? What is the expected life? What are we going to use it for?
Sure, Mayor. The expected lifespan will be 15 years. Because of the trade-in value, you'd want to do it at 15 years. When we're cleaning out ponds, rivers, creeks, you know, there's fallen trees in them, and you can just grab them with the arm and pull them out. Trenching and in electric and drain tile. Like currently at Swenson Park, we're going to help the electrician trench in some stuff to lower the cost of the electrical work. And also, they're demoing the boards at Swenson Park right now, and you can pick these boards up with a tooth on the mini excavator and set them in the truck, the big trucks. And so you make less trips to the landfill than the little trucks. And then, of course, digging like holes for or locates and stuff like that.
Okay, so there's a cost savings involved in terms of labor.
Correct, and we currently have a unit.
Yeah.
So this is this is replacing. the unit
Okay.
we have.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Member Yeager?
Can the mini excavator do everything the backhoe can?
Yes, it can. It can do everything except drive to the site because it's on tracks. And so that's why we're looking on the next resolution at a trailer to haul it on.
And how often is the backhoe used?
Currently, it has, I believe, 3,000 hours. I can't remember right off the top of my head. But it's used, we've used it so far like this year at Hawks Meadows to pull some trees out. Whenever you do a culvert replacement, it's not safe to operate, so we
Okay.
try not to use it too much.
About average 70 hours a year based on that, I
Is that
guess,
what
if
it
it
is?
is around 3,000.
Yeah.
But it is a 1983 too, I think, almost 40 years old.
Yeah, could do the math. And I take it the mini excavator will be used at the same rate? At the
Correct.
same amount of time?
If
Any
not
ch-
more.
Okay.
Councilman.
And there's no chance you're gonna come back later and say, I need a backhoe now?
No, this has a longer reach, and this is a backhoe, but it's just not on tires.
Okay, just making sure. And then the other question I had, in the long-term plan that we just adopted, I see 2021, 1985 John Deere backhoe for $10,000? What was that?
This unit, we had 75,000 in 2020, and then we were gonna do the 75,000 for the backhoe out of stormwater, split them up between the two.
Oh, so this basically is the remainder of what you've been saving up?
Correct.
Oh, that's all I had, thank you.
Member Onstead?
No questions.
Member Luker?
Mr. Armstrong, can you elaborate just a little bit on what the safety issues are, just so that, so that we're aware of what makes it unsafe?
Okay, Councilmember Luger, the windows are gone in it, and it has a cab on it. There's been holes drilled in the roll bar assembly in the cab, so that if it rolled over, it would crush, the cab would crush down. So the safety feature like that has been altered, and that's one of the main reasons we couldn't get a trade-in from Ziegler Cat. It needs tires, it's well worn.
Thank you.
I'm gonna do a follow-up question. Who takes that stuff off? Like, what would be the reasoning? And you might not know that, it's probably before your time, but,
Correct, but through the years that it was owned by the township and us, people have drilled holes through the roll bar assemblies to add cup holder maybe, or radio. I don't know what they added, but the holes are all there, I can't think of anything that you would really add on one, but
okay. Can we put in the resolution, there are no drilling of holes for cup holders
Oh,
or
no,
anything
no,
like that in there?
no,
Okay.
there would be nothing like that.
All right. All right, we need a motion to approve Resolution 210773 to purchase a 2021 306 mini hydraulic excavator from Ziegler Cat for $76,216 on the state bid contract. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by Member Luker. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Member Onstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Number 27, to consider Resolution 210774 to approve the purchase of a new 2021 Towmaster Trailer T.20D from RDO Equipment in the amount of $14,802 with an adjustment cost from the trade-in value of a 2013 PJ trailer and a 1989 John Deere backhoe in the amount of $8,000 for the total cost not to exceed $7,764.13. Mr. Almgeld.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and City Council members. Public Works has this 2013 PJ trailer. It's not large enough to haul a mini excavator on it. It has a 7,000-pound payload, and the trailer where it pulls in has a 20,000-pound payload. The mini excavator is like 16,000 pounds. RDO Equipment is the dealer for Towmaster trailers. They are proposing a 2021 Towmaster T20D for the purchase price of $14,802. And they are going to give us a trade-in on the trailer and the 1983 John Deere 401 backhoe for a total of $8,000, $2,000 on the trailer, $6,000 on this backhoe. And it's all on this Minnesota State bid contract. So we would like to go ahead with it for not to exceed $7,764.13. And that fits into that $85,000 we had proposed on the CIP. We're at $83,980.23 with both purchases.
We have very talented public works staff. Could they have made it to fit? Could they have
Well, you
jimmied
wouldn't have-
anything up, like the
no.
holes for the cup holders?
Yeah.
But could they have done anything to not have to purchase this? Is that,
No, we would never do any altercations because of the insurance reasons.
perfect. All right, questions from Member Luker,
None.
Member Onstad,
No questions.
Member Yeager?
This bigger trailer will fit on our truck?
Correct.
We have a truck big enough to handle the big trailer and the excavator and all
Yes.
that. And our personnel all have the proper licenses to
Correct.
drive such a
Yep.
big thing.
Yes, we have all the licenses and trucks and
Okay, cool, thank you.
All right, so we need a motion to approve Resolution 210774 to approve the purchase of the new 2021 Towmaster trailer from RDO Equipment in the amount of $14,802 with the adjusted cost for a trade-in value of the PJ trailer and the John Deere backhoe in the amount of $8,000 for the total cost not to exceed $7,764.13. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by Member Onstad. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Member Luker. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So approved. We're going to move on to council reports, and we will start with Member Yeager.
Okay, I attended the sewer commission meeting where we authorized the bond sale for our Phase 2 project, this year's project basically, and we discussed an expanded operations and maintenance agreement with Veolia, which was tabled for another month to iron out the details. And that's basically my report. Thank you all for coming, and thank you all for watching.
All right. Member Onstad?
I have nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. Member Luker?
I attended the Park Advisory Commission meeting on the 12th. The Park Advisory Commission continued discussing the Resilient Communities Project applications, as well as began a conversation about the Railroad Park Buy a Brick fundraiser. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. I attended the Economic Development Authority. I attended a wonderful tour of Regal Machine and their new machines that they have in there, the Minnesota Mayors Association as well, and the Sewer Commission and the Park Advisory Commission in the last 2 weeks. With that, I would like to talk about National Night Out, but Chief Hoppy is not here. Is there somebody else who would like to take that on, just because that's coming up before our next meeting, correct?
Sure. Yeah, we can talk about generalities. Probably Ms. Dumas and I can fill in on that.
Good.
Next Tuesday, 6 o'clock, Goodview Park, we will have National Night Out. I know Chief Hoppy has promised bigger and better than ever. We'll have a lot of great things for our families to do, the fire department, the police department. We'll have some different exercises, well, some obstacle courses. We'll have, I believe Friends of the Library will be there serving ice cream. Ms. Dumas, anything that I'm missing that you're aware of at all? But I think there'll be a few other things too. I know they've been real busy planning all of it, so I apologize for not knowing all the details. But I'm told it's going to be as big and better than ever. So.
And I'm sure there'll be stuff on Facebook and social media.
2 weeks from today, I
2
should
weeks,
say.
okay.
Yes.
I do know that I will be participating in some way, which will be kind of scary. So we're just gonna leave it at that. I'm sure it'll go all over Facebook. So, all right. We have something different than the taser that they're gonna be demonstrating. So I was asked to be the criminal, I guess might be a good word to put it.
Did not know that.
I don't know. So yeah, so that should be very interesting. I'm hoping for rain. All right, so with that, I'd like to thank everybody for being here, and thank you for watching, and do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion to adjourn by Councilmember Onstad. We have a second by Member Luker.
You bet.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned.